The jungle was alive with sound. Birds cried from the high canopy, insects sang in endless rhythm, and the heavy air carried the scent of rain and soil. Mara wiped sweat from her forehead as she pushed aside a curtain of vines. Behind her, 3 members of her small team followed closely, their backpacks heavy with tools, food, and water. They had been walking for days, guided only by old maps, strange local legends, and Mara's instinct. She was not the strongest in the group, but she had a sharp mind and a love for history that drove her forward. Ever since she had first read about the lost rulers of the Mayan world, she had dreamed of finding something that would change the way people understood the past. At last, they came upon a clearing where moss-covered stones jutted from the ground. Broken pillars stood like the ribs of some ancient beast, half swallowed by trees and vines. The sight made Mara stop in her tracks. She felt a chill run down her arms. This was no ordinary ruin. Here, she whispered, pointing toward a wide stairway of cracked stone. The steps led down into the earth, half buried under roots and mud. The chamber is down there. It has to be. Her teammate Luis shook his head slowly, staring at the dark entrance. Mara, the locals warned us. They say the Jade King cursed this place. They say no one should enter. Mara placed a firm hand on the rough stone. Legends grow from truth, Luis. If people feared this place, then it means something powerful is hidden inside. We cannot stop now. The others glanced at each other, uncertain, but Mara's determination pushed them forward. Together, they cleared vines and dirt from the entrance. Hours passed as sweat drenched their clothes and their hands bled from sharp rocks, but finally the dark mouth of the chamber was revealed. Inside, the air was thick and cool. The flicker of their torches lit walls covered with carvings. Strange figures danced across the stone, men bowing before a tall figure wearing a crown of jade. Stars surrounded the figure's head, and in his hand was a sphere that seemed to glow even in the carving. The Jade King, Mara said softly. She traced the lines of the stone with her fingers. He was real. And he was worshipped as a ruler of both men and the sky. But then she noticed something strange. The carvings did not only show worship. Some showed rebellion. Groups of people stood with weapons raised against the crowned figure. Flames filled the background, and the Jade King's eyes were carved larger than life, as if watching anyone who dared oppose him. The chamber grew narrower as they moved forward, the stone shifting from rough to unnaturally smooth. It was not the work of human hands, at least not alone. Strange metallic lines ran along the walls, half buried under centuries of rock and moss. This is impossible, Luis whispered. He pressed his torch close to the wall, revealing symbols that glowed faintly, almost alive. The Mayans did not make this. It feels like something else. Mara's heart pounded. She had studied ruins across the world, but she had never seen anything like this. The walls seemed to hum softly, like a heartbeat deep underground. She felt the sound in her chest more than she heard it with her ears. At the end of the passage stood a great stone door, its surface covered with jade inlay. In the center was a single handprint carved into the stone. Without thinking, Mara stepped forward and placed her hand on it. The stone trembled under her touch. Dust rained from the ceiling as the door shuddered. Slowly, the heavy slabs began to shift open, releasing a rush of air that smelled of age and secrets. The torches flickered wildly as the chamber revealed itself. Inside, a vast room stretched before them, the ceiling high and curved like the inside of a dome. At the center stood a throne carved entirely of jade, its surface gleaming even after centuries in darkness. Upon it rested a strange object, a crystal sphere that pulsed with pale green light. The team froze in awe. None of them spoke for several moments. The light from the sphere painted their faces, soft and eerie. Mara felt her throat tighten. Every story she had ever heard, every legend whispered by locals, suddenly made sense. This was the heart of the curse, the heart of the Jade King's power. But she did not feel fear. She felt wonder. "This is it," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We have found a hidden chamber. And the world will never be the same again." Unknown to them, far above in the endless sky, a signal had already begun to stir. The chamber's awakening had sent a message. Something ancient was listening. Something that had been waiting for centuries. The chamber was silent except for the faint hum of the crystal sphere. Its glow bathed the jade throne in a soft green light, making the carvings on the walls seem alive. Mara stepped closer, unable to look away. The sphere pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and patient, as if waiting for someone to notice. Luis shifted uneasily, his voice breaking the stillness. "We should not touch it. Look at the walls. They are not natural. This whole place feels alive. We do not know what will happen if we disturb it." Mara turned to him, her torch casting sharp shadows across her face. "Do you not see, Luis? This is proof. The Jade King was more than a legend. He had power, power no one could explain. And now it is right here in front of us." The other two team members, Anna and Tomasz, exchanged nervous glances. They trusted Mara, but the glowing sphere filled them with unease. Still, curiosity pulled at all of them. They had walked for days, pushed through storms, snakes, and hunger to reach this place. To leave without learning the truth felt impossible. Mara raised her hand and reached for the sphere. Her fingers trembled as they brushed its surface. The moment her skin touched it, a shock ran through her body. She gasped but did not pull away. The sphere's glow flared brighter, flooding the chamber with green light. The carvings on the walls shifted. Lines of light traced along the stone, filling the carved stars and crowns until the entire chamber seemed to awaken. The ground rumbled beneath their feet, and a low vibration filled the air. Then, before their eyes, a figure appeared above the jade throne. It was not solid but formed of light and shadow. Tall, crowned, and cloaked, the figure looked down upon them with eyes that burned like emerald fire. His voice echoed through the chamber, deep and commanding. "You who dare to enter," the figure said. "You stand before the throne of the Jade King. This place is not for the unworthy." Anna stumbled back, clutching her torch as if it were a weapon. It speaks." Mara forced herself to stand firm. Her heart raced, but she lifted her chin. "We are not thieves. We are explorers. We seek the truth of who you were, and what you left behind." The figure's eyes narrowed. "Truth is a dangerous path. My chamber was sealed so the world would never forget my warning. Those who wake the throne must face the curse." Luis's voice shook. "Curse? What curse?" The figure raised his hand, and the walls of the chamber shifted once more. New images appeared, glowing with fresh light. They showed scenes of long ago men building temples, stars burning in the sky, and strange crafts descending from above. The figure of the Jade King was at the center of it all, holding the same glowing sphere. But the next carvings showed war. The Jade King standing with beings not of this world, their forms tall and alien. Humans fought against them, weak and small, yet stubborn. Flames rose, and cities fell. The figure's voice thundered again. The curse is not mine. It is theirs. They came from beyond the stars, offering power in exchange for chains. I ruled with their gifts, until my people rose against me. They sealed this chamber so the truth would sleep. But now you have awoken it. And they will come again. The torches flickered wildly as the hum grew stronger. The crystal sphere pulsed faster, sending waves of green light up through the dome ceiling. Somewhere far above, unseen in the sky, a signal spread outward. Tomasz gripped his pack straps tightly. Mara, if he speaks truth, we are in danger. If they come back, what chance do we have? Mara stared at the sphere. She felt its warmth still in her fingers. The visions on the wall, the figure's warning, the strange hum, it all pointed to something larger than myths. The Jade King was not only a ruler. He was a bridge between humanity and something far older, far stranger. She swallowed hard. We cannot turn back. If this signal brings them, then we must face it. Better to know the truth than to live in ignorance. The figure of light leaned closer, his glowing eyes fixed on her. You speak with courage. But courage will not save you. When they arrive, you will understand the cost of awakening the throne. With that, the figure vanished, fading into sparks of green light that drifted across the chamber before sinking into the throne once more. The hum settled into a steady rhythm, as if the chamber itself now waited for the return of its masters. The team stood in silence. No one moved. No one breathed. Finally, Luis broke the stillness. We should seal this place again. Forget what we saw. Let it stay buried. Mara shook her head slowly. Her eyes were fixed on the crystal sphere, still glowing faintly, like a living heart. No. We cannot. The world must know. This was not just history. This was a warning. And it is already too late. The signal is gone. Whatever was sleeping will be awake again. Far beyond the jungle, in the emptiness of space, lights stirred. Machines older than nations, older than memory, blinked alive. They had heard the call of the Jade King's chamber. And they were on their way. The jungle night was heavy with mist. The team sat around a small fire outside the ruins, but none of them could rest. The memory of the glowing figure still clung to their minds, and the crystal sphere's hum echoed faintly from the chamber below. Anna hugged her knees close, her eyes darting to the treetops as if expecting something to appear. Mara, what if Luis was right? What if we should have sealed it again? I feel like we woke something that should have stayed asleep. Mara stared into the fire, her face lit by orange glow. It was not just a curse. It was a warning. If the Jade King spoke truth, then others will come. And if they come, the world deserves to know the truth before they arrive. Tomasz rubbed his tired eyes. And if they already heard the call? What if they are on their way right now? Before Mara could answer, the fire flickered strangely. A sudden gust swept through the clearing, carrying with it a low hum, deeper and sharper than before. The team looked up. Through the thick canopy, a green light cut across the sky like a blade. Luis dropped his pack and scrambled to his feet. No. It cannot be this fast. We only touched it today. The light grew brighter until the trees glowed with unnatural color. Then, without warning, a craft descended above the clearing. It was not like any plane or helicopter they had seen. Smooth, silver, and silent, it hovered effortlessly, casting beams of green light that searched the ground. The team froze, their breaths caught in their throats. The craft lowered, and a panel opened on its underside. From within, shapes emerged, tall, slender figures wrapped in dark armor. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were precise, almost mechanical. One of the figures stepped forward, its voice carrying clearly though it did not move its mouth. "Humans of the earth, you have touched the throne of the Jade King. You will surrender the crystal, and you will not resist." Anna's hand tightened on Mara's arm. "They are real." The Jade King was telling the truth. Mara forced herself to stay calm. Her heart pounded, but she stepped forward, holding her ground. "Who are you? Why do you want the crystal?" The figure's eyes flared brighter. "We are the keepers of the sky. We gave the throne to your king long ago. He ruled in our name. The crystal belongs to us. Return it, or face destruction." Luis whispered urgently, "Mara, give it to them. We cannot fight this. Look at their ship." But Mara shook her head. Her voice was steady, though her knees trembled. "The Jade King said your gifts were chains. He said you enslaved him, and that our people rose against you. We will not give it back. It belongs to humanity now." The air grew colder as the alien figure tilted its head. "You speak as he did before he betrayed us. Then, like now, humans mistake defiance for strength. Do you believe you can resist us with fire and stone?" Tamash whispered, "Mara, what are you doing? They could destroy us in a moment." Mara did not move. "If you fear us enough to demand instead of taking, then maybe you are not as strong as you claim." The alien's glowing eyes narrowed. The figures raised their arms, and beams of light shot from their devices, striking the ground near the humans as a warning. Dirt exploded, and the fire went out, leaving only the green light of the craft above. Anna screamed and stumbled back. Luis grabbed her hand and pulled her behind a fallen log. Tamash raised his torch like a weapon, though it was useless against such power. The aliens did not press further. Instead, the leader spoke again. "You have been warned. The chamber is not yours to guard. You have one chance. Leave this place. Seal it again. If you do not, you will face the same fate as your king." With that, the figures withdrew into the craft. The ship rose silently into the sky, its light vanishing into the stars. Within seconds, the jungle was dark again, silent except for the frightened breaths of the humans. The fire had been destroyed, and the clearing smelled of burnt soil. Mara slowly sank to her knees, her hands shaking. She had spoken bravely, but the reality of what they faced now pressed heavy on her chest. These beings were real, and they were powerful. Anna's voice broke the silence. "They let us live. Why? If they are so strong, why not take it from us now?" Luis answered, his tone grim. "Because they do not fear us. They think we are nothing. They believe we will break on our own. But if the Jade King was right, they are wrong." Mara lifted her head, her eyes hardening. "We cannot leave. If we leave, they will return stronger, and the world will not be ready. We must learn what the Jade King left for us. We must understand the power of the crystal before they come back." The team exchanged uneasy looks, but no one argued. Deep inside, they all knew the truth. The aliens would return. And if humans did not stand ready, history would repeat itself. Mara clenched her fists, the weight of choice heavy on her shoulders. The first encounter had shown the danger. The next would decide whether humanity could rise against it, or fall like before. The jungle was quiet the next morning, but the silence felt unnatural. Birds that usually filled the air with calls stayed hidden, and even the insects seemed muted. Mara and her team returned to the chamber, their torches casting long shadows on the carved walls. None of them spoke much during the walk. Each step carried the weight of what they had seen the night before. The crystal sphere still glowed faintly on the jade throne. Its soft light pulsed like a living heart, unchanged by the visit of the alien craft. Mara stood before it, her thoughts racing. She remembered the alien leader's words, cold and certain, but she also remembered the warning from the Jade King's figure. "We cannot run," she whispered. "If we run, the world will be blind when they return. We must understand why the Jade King turned against them." Louise sighed and knelt near a wall, studying the glowing carvings again. "Maybe the answer is here. These are not simple decorations. They are a story." Together, the team began to explore the deeper passages branching from the throne room. The air was thick and still, but strange metallic lines ran along the walls, glowing faintly when touched. Anna pressed her palm to one of the lines, and a section of stone slid open with a low groan, revealing a hidden hall. Inside, the walls told a different story. Murals stretched from floor to ceiling, each one brighter than the last. They showed scenes of humans building temples not for worship but for resistance. Men and women stood with weapons made of stone and fire, facing tall alien figures. Above them, a crowned man, the Jade King, stood torn between two worlds. Anna pointed to one mural. "Look. He began with them. He ruled by their side. But then his own people fought against him. He chose to resist too. That is why they called it a curse. Not because he punished them, but because he betrayed his masters." Mara studied the carvings, her mind piecing together the fragments. He was given power by them. He used it to rule, but when he saw the cost, he turned against them. He left this chamber behind as a message. He wanted us to know they were not gods. They were invaders. In the next hall, they found something even stranger. A long table carved from stone held objects that did not belong to this world. Thin rods of metal, shaped with perfect precision, lay beside plates of unknown material. A small device, no larger than Mara's hand, still glowed faintly with green light. Tomasz picked it up carefully. "What is this? A tool? A weapon?" The device reacted to his touch, projecting a small beam of light into the air. Symbols floated above it, shifting and turning until they formed a clear image. The image showed the same crystal sphere they had seen on the throne. Lines connected the sphere to smaller devices like the one in Tomasz's hand, forming a web of energy. Mara's eyes widened. It is not just a relic. It is a system. The Jade King used these to fight them. The sphere is not only a throne ornament. It is a source of power, made for humans to use. Louise frowned deeply. Then why did the aliens not destroy it? Why leave such weapons behind? Mara ran her fingers across the glowing symbols. Because they underestimated us. They thought no one would return here. Or maybe they thought fear would keep us away. They believed the curse would bury the truth forever. The team pressed deeper into the hidden halls. More carvings revealed the final days of the Jade King. He stood with his people, weapons raised, while alien ships rained fire from the sky. Though many fell, the humans fought with courage, forcing the invaders back. The last carving showed the Jade King placing the crystal sphere on the throne before sealing the chamber. Anna's voice shook as she read the final symbols aloud. He said, "Let those who come after me remember. Power is not their gift. It is our right." The words sent a shiver through all of them. Mara closed her eyes for a moment. She could almost see it, the Jade King, once a ruler bound by alien chains, standing tall as his people rose beside him. He had turned their tools into human weapons. He had given his life so others could resist. Opening her eyes, Mara spoke firmly. This was not a curse. It was a challenge. He wanted us to finish what he began. Just then, the crystal sphere pulsed brighter, as if reacting to their discovery. The green light spread through the walls, and the air grew warmer. The hum returned, deeper than before. Louise took a step back. Mara, it is alive. It knows we understand. But Mara did not move. She stepped closer to the throne, her reflection shining in the sphere's surface. For the first time, she felt not fear but connection, as if the Jade King's spirit was watching through it. They are coming back, she whispered. And when they do, we will not be helpless. He left us the means to fight. It is up to us to learn how. The team stood together, the weight of history pressing down on their shoulders. The hidden halls had revealed the truth: the Jade King was not a tyrant, but the first rebel against the invaders. And now, centuries later, his struggle had become theirs. Outside, the jungle remained silent. But far above, in the dark sea of stars, the invaders stirred again. And this time, humanity would be ready. The days that followed were filled with work inside the chamber. Mara and her team studied every carving, every hidden passage, and every strange device left behind. The weight of the Jade King's legacy pressed on them, but it also gave them hope. They now understood that the chamber was more than a tomb. It was an armory, a place where the Jade King had hidden tools meant for those who would rise after him. Anna carefully traced her hand over one of the glowing rods they had found on the stone table. The moment her skin touched it, the rod lit with a soft hum. Energy rippled across its surface, and a sharp beam extended from one end. She gasped and nearly dropped it. Tamash steadied her hand. It is a weapon. Look at the carvings. The Jade King's soldiers carried the same kind. Mara nodded. They are not simple weapons. They are designed for humans to use. That is why the aliens feared us. They knew if we learned the truth, we could turn their own gifts against them. Luis was less certain. He paced the edge of the chamber, his hands clenched. Weapons or not, we are only 4 people. How do we fight a ship that can burn the sky? Mara looked at him firmly. We are not soldiers. But we are the first to find this. If we can use what the Jade King left, then we can teach others. Humanity will not kneel this time. They decided to test the devices. In a smaller passage outside the main chamber, Anna aimed the glowing rod at a section of stone wall. A beam of green energy shot forward, slicing a deep line across the rock as if it were soft clay. The team stared in awe. The weapons were still alive after centuries. But the greatest discovery came from the crystal sphere itself. Mara spent hours sitting before it, pressing her hands against its smooth surface. At first, nothing happened, but slowly, she began to feel its rhythm align with her own. Her thoughts seemed sharper, her heartbeat steadier. She realized it was not only a source of power. It was a channel. One evening, as the team rested, Mara placed both hands firmly on the sphere. The chamber responded. A wave of light spread across the walls, filling the air with warmth. Her teammates stood in shock as their torches flickered out, replaced by the sphere's glow. Mara, Anna whispered, "What are you doing?" Mara's voice was calm, though her eyes shone with green light. It listens. Not to words, but to intent. It strengthens what we focus on. The Jade King used this not just as a weapon, but as a way to gather the will of his people. Together, their thoughts became power. Luis's doubt cracked as he watched the light flow through her. Then it means anyone can use it? Mara nodded. Yes. It was made for us. For all of us. The next morning, they set traps around the ruins, using both the ancient devices and their own modern tools. Tomasz rigged fallen logs to swing down from hidden ropes, while Anna placed the energy rods in positions where they could be triggered quickly. Luis, though still anxious, added layers of camouflage to the entrance so the chamber would remain hidden until it was too late. They knew the aliens would return. The night of the first encounter had been only a warning. The invaders believed humans would give up, but Mara's team intended to prove them wrong. That night, as the team rested in the clearing, the hum returned. The green light cut once more across the sky, stronger than before. The craft descended again, but this time, Mara and her team were ready. The ship hovered above the ruins, and the armored figures stepped down, their eyes glowing with cold light. The leader raised his hand. Humans, you have ignored our command. The chamber is not yours. You will surrender it now, or you will be destroyed. Mara stood tall, her hand resting on the glowing sphere beside her. Her voice was steady. You call yourselves keepers of the sky. But this place was not built for you. It was built to end you. The aliens raised their weapons. Beams of green fire cut through the air, but Anna triggered one of the traps. A hidden rod burst with light, intercepting the beams and scattering them. The aliens staggered, surprised. Tomasz swung one of the glowing rods like a blade, sending arcs of energy through the air. Luis, fear pushed aside by determination, triggered a rope trap, dropping heavy logs onto two of the alien soldiers. For the first time, the invaders faltered. Their perfect precision broke as they faced resistance they had not expected. Mara pressed her hands firmly to the sphere, focusing with all her strength. A pulse of energy spread outward, forming a shield of green light around her team. The alien beams struck it but did not break through. Her voice rang out across the chamber. You thought humanity was weak. You thought fear would keep us down. But the Jade King was the first to prove you wrong, and now we will do the same. The aliens regrouped, their leader's eyes flaring brighter. You cannot win. You are few. We are many. But Mara did not step back. Then let this be the beginning. If we fall, others will rise. Humanity will never kneel again. The chamber pulsed once more, brighter than ever. For the first time since the Jade King's fall, the ancient weapons of humanity were alive again. The jungle was alive with sound as the alien ship hovered low over the ruins. Trees bent from the pressure of its engines, and dust swirled into the night sky. The soldiers in green armor marched forward, their weapons glowing. The chamber behind Mara and her team pulsed with steady light, as if it too prepared for the coming storm. Mara stood at the front, both hands resting on the crystal sphere. The power inside it hummed in her chest, filling her with strength she had never known. Tomasz held one of the glowing rods like a spear. Anna kept another ready in her hand, her eyes sharp and unshaken. Luis crouched behind them, near the traps, waiting for the moment to strike. The alien leader raised his arm. His voice echoed coldly. This is your last chance. Leave the chamber, or be erased. Mara answered with calm words. This chamber was built for us. We will never give it to you. The leader's hand dropped. The battle began. Green fire burst from the alien weapons. Beams tore across the clearing, cutting through trees and soil. but Mara pushed her hands harder against the sphere. A shield of glowing light spread around her team, blocking the first strike. The impact shook the ground, yet the barrier held. Now! Tomasz shouted. He dashed forward and swung his rod. A beam of energy shot out, slicing across one alien's armor. The soldier staggered back, sparks flying from his chest plate. Anna fired her weapon from the side. The green beam caught another soldier in the leg, knocking him to the ground. Luis pulled the rope trap, releasing a row of sharpened logs from above. The logs slammed into two more soldiers, driving them into the dirt. But the aliens were fast. They regrouped quickly, moving with sharp, mechanical precision. Their leader charged, weapon blazing. Mara focused all her will on the sphere, forcing the shield to expand. The green light pulsed outward like a wave, pushing the invaders back. The leader snarled and slammed his weapon into the barrier. Cracks of energy spread across the shield. Mara gritted her teeth, sweat rolling down her face. She could feel the strain of holding it, but she did not let go. Keep fighting, she called. Tomasz fought like a warrior born. Each swing of his rod lit the night with arcs of fire. He blocked incoming beams, turning them aside with sharp strikes. Anna fired carefully, never wasting a shot. Luis, though nervous, moved with speed, setting off the second trap. A pit covered with branches opened beneath two soldiers, swallowing them into darkness. The alien leader pressed harder. His weapon glowed brighter, burning through the shield. Mara cried out as the sphere pulsed wildly under her hands. For a moment, she thought the barrier would break. Then something happened. The chamber walls lit up with carvings that had not glowed before. The faces of the old Mayan warriors shone in green fire, and their eyes seemed alive. The energy from the sphere grew stronger, flowing into Mara's arms. She felt not alone but surrounded by voices of the past. You are not the first, a deep voice echoed in her mind. We fought them before. Now fight with us. Strength filled her again. The barrier flared bright, pushing the alien leader backward. Anna's eyes widened. The chamber is alive. It is helping us. Tomasz grinned. Then we have a chance. The battle grew fierce. Blasts of light cut across the clearing, shaking trees and cracking stone. The air was thick with heat and dust. Mara's team fought with everything they had. One by one, the alien soldiers fell, their glowing eyes dimming. But the leader stood tall, refusing to yield. You cannot win, he shouted, his voice harsh. This chamber will fall as it did before. Humanity will always kneel. Mara stepped forward, her hands still glowing with the sphere's power. No. Humanity learns. Humanity rises. And we will never kneel again. She thrust her arms outward. A surge of energy burst from the sphere, striking the leader full force. His armor cracked, glowing lines spreading across it like fire through glass. He staggered, his weapon falling from his hand. Tomasz and Anna charged together, striking with their rods. The leader dropped to one knee, his glow fading. Luis pulled the last trap, dropping heavy stone blocks from the ruins onto the leader's back. With a final burst of green light, the alien leader collapsed. The jungle grew quiet. The remaining soldiers froze, their glow dimming as if their strength had died with their commander. Slowly, they retreated toward the ship, dragging their fallen with them. The craft lifted into the sky, its engines rumbling. Then it vanished into the clouds, leaving silence behind. Mara fell to her knees, her hands slipping from the sphere. The shield flickered and vanished, leaving only the faint glow of the carvings around them. Tomasz caught her before she hit the ground. "You did it," he said, his voice filled with awe. "No," Mara whispered, her breathing heavy. "We did it. All of us. The Jade King and his people. And us." The chamber slowly dimmed, its light fading to a steady pulse. The battle was over. For now, humanity had won. But as Anna looked up at the sky, she frowned. "They will return." "You heard him." This was not the end. Mara forced herself to her feet. Her voice was steady, though her body trembled. "Then we will be ready. This time, humanity will not face them with fear. We will face them with strength." The team stood together in the ruins, the glow of the ancient chamber behind them, and the endless jungle stretching before them. The fight was not finished. But hope had been born again. The battle had ended, but the night still felt heavy with silence. Smoke rose from the burned trees, and the air smelled of ash. The alien ship was gone, yet Mara knew the danger was not finished. She placed her hand once more on the crystal sphere, feeling its faint pulse. It no longer surged with the wild energy of battle, but its power was still alive, quiet like a sleeping heart. Her team gathered close. Tomasz sat on a broken stone, his arms scratched and his clothes torn. Anna leaned against the wall, her eyes watching every shadow in the chamber as if expecting another attack. Luis knelt near the traps, his hands trembling as he tied a bandage around his arm. They were all tired, but their eyes carried the same fire. "What now?" Luis asked softly. "The aliens will return. You saw how many soldiers they had. That was only one ship." Mara looked around the chamber. The carvings glowed faintly, still alive with the light of the past. She felt the voices of the Mayan warriors within her, steady and guiding. "This sphere is not only a weapon," she said. "It is a message. The Jade King did not only fight the invaders. He left behind knowledge for us." Anna tilted her head. "A message? For who?" "For us," Mara answered. "For humanity. He wanted us to know what happened, so we would be ready when the invaders returned." Tomasz rose to his feet, limping slightly. "Then we must understand it? If the sphere holds knowledge, we must unlock it?" Mara closed her eyes and pressed both hands firmly against the sphere. At once, her mind filled with light. The chamber vanished, replaced by visions of stars, planets, and endless dark. She saw the Jade King, not as a carving, but as a living figure. His eyes were bright, his crown of jade glowing. "You are chosen," the vision spoke. "You carry the strength of your people. Long ago, we fought against the same enemy you now face. We won battles, but we could not win the war. So we left this chamber, this sphere, as our gift to those who would come after. Use it not only as a weapon, but as a guide." Images flashed before Mara's eyes, maps of the sky, star paths, symbols she could not fully read but felt she could learn. She saw ships of stone and light, human warriors standing side by side with others she did not know. She saw hope. Then the vision faded, and she was back in the chamber, gasping for breath. Tomasz caught her shoulder. "What did you see?" Mara steadied herself. "The Jade King showed me. This sphere holds maps of the stars. It holds knowledge of their war, their victories, their failures. He left it for us to finish what they began." Anna stepped forward, her eyes burning with determination. "Then we cannot stay here. If this sphere is so important, we must take it to others. The world must know. But how? Luis asked. If we carry it out of the jungle, the invaders will hunt us. And humans may not believe us. They may fear it. Mara looked down at the glowing crystal. She could feel its weight, not just in her hands, but in her heart. It is not about belief. It is about survival. We must share it, even if some reject it. Because the invaders will not stop. And when they return, all of humanity must be ready. The team exchanged looks. Each of them knew the road ahead would be dangerous, filled with enemies and doubt. Yet none of them turned away. That night, they rested in the chamber. The sphere's glow was soft, wrapping them in calm. For the first time since the battle, Mara allowed herself to close her eyes. Dreams filled her sleep, dreams of starships, battles, and voices calling out across time. At dawn, the team prepared to leave. They packed their tools and wrapped the sphere in cloth, though its light still shone through. As they stepped out into the clearing, the jungle was quiet again, as if holding its breath. Mara paused and looked back at the chamber. The Jade King's story will not be forgotten again, she whispered. The path out of the jungle was long. They faced rain, mud, and thick vines, but the sphere guided them. Sometimes it pulsed, glowing brighter when they walked the right way, dimming when they strayed. It was more than a relic, it was alive, leading them toward the next step of their journey. Days later, when they finally reached the small town at the edge of the forest, people stared in wonder. Mara knew the real challenge was about to begin. They would have to convince leaders, scientists, and nations that the threat was real. Some would laugh, others would doubt, and some would try to take the sphere for themselves. But Mara also knew something else. Hope had been lit. The Jade King had fought so humanity could one day rise. His chamber had waited centuries for this moment. And now, with the sphere in their hands, Mara and her team carried not only a weapon but a promise. The promise that when the invaders returned, humanity would not stand alone in fear. They would rise together, guided by the wisdom of the past, and fight for the future of Earth. As Mara looked up at the sky, the morning sun rising over the horizon, she whispered, "We are ready."